All right, time for another one of these, everyone. Hey, today we're going to talk about the first EP I ever came out with my good friend Benny Bravo, Justin. We just released it a little over a month ago now, I think. It's called Bops. It was a project where I only used sounds from the Cowboy Bebop soundtrack and old Rolling Stone songs and stuff like that. Basically, that rule ended up being stretched a little bit. So I was originally only going to use like every sound. So like that included melodic sounds, percussion, and like vocal clips and things like that too. I ended up using vocal clips from other shit just because there really wasn't enough for me to work with to make something that sounded as cool as I wanted to and as like eccentric. And I mean, it's not like that far. It's not that weird, this fucking album. Don't make it, I'm not gonna make it sound like it's that crazy. But I just wanted to add a little bit more flavor to it. And I couldn't really do that with just vocal clips and that shit. Also, there was some percussive stuff that I just couldn't get to sound great. So I did layer like a few snares. And I also used the kick in most of the songs came from this one. It was from a Ninth Wonder fucking kit. I used the same kick for a lot of it, actually, because it just sounded good. But yeah, besides that, everything else came from those two sources, though. So, you know, it was a little difficult, but it was also really fun constructing everything together. So I'll kind of start from the beginning, I guess. Just talking real quick about like my music career and stuff. So I started making beats. So it's May 2019 right now. December of 2017. Sorry, I just fucked up with my recording for a second. So in December of 2017 is when I started making beats. I was obsessed with it for a while, absolutely obsessed. I was obsessed with the idea of sampling just like my favorite songs. That's really all I was doing for forever. That's kind of what started my mini Lo-Fi Monday series. It was literally just songs that I really liked, just a shitload of anime songs mostly. And I would just sample them and just put out like a little lo-fi beat every other Monday. Haven't done it for a while, might go back to it. I don't really do the lo-fi stuff that much anymore. I mostly just do general boom bap, a little bit of trap stuff here and there, but it's all sample based. That's kind of what holds my stuff together. Anyways, so that was December. Yeah, I was doing beats like crazy. Fell out of it for a little while because I had some problems with my ears and stuff. But, you know, I got back into it once my ear situation improved a bit. And it's been just an amazing way for me to spend my time. It really helps me with anxiety and stuff like that. So, yeah, anyways, basically, I think it was basically in December of 2018. So this was about a year after I started. I was going to put out this other project called Voices from the Stars, which if you are like a big fan, I highly doubt it. I don't think I have any big fans, but you might have noticed that I put out an album cover in like September of 2018 saying it was coming at the end of the year. Didn't pan out. I'm still going to make that album eventually. I have all the concepts written now. I have pages and pages of notes for it, but I just have only written a few parts for it. It'll take a while. It's a big project. Anyways, so where was I? So in December 2018, maybe even early January, I was on a plane ride and I was listening to Mad Villainy, which is one of my favorite albums of all time. If you don't know, it's by Mad Villain, it's by Madlib and fucking MF Doom, who are, you know, Madlib is probably my favorite producer of all time. MF Doom's one of my favorite rappers. Great duo, just an incredible album. But just like super cool, grimy, dirty, lo-fi. It's really great. And I was just like so intrigued listening to it for some reason, just how he was using vocal samples and different samples throughout it. And I was like, it's just so eccentric and interesting. And I was like, I really want to try to do something like kind of like this. And I was just thinking, I was like, all right, this is super sick. So I started writing out notes of how he did things and like how Madlib specifically made his beats and how he was like constructing them and different patterns and stuff I was noticing. And right before, literally the day before this plane ride, I had just given away one of my vinyls to my friend for Christmas because he's a huge Rolling Stones fan. And I had this vinyl. It was the second vinyl I ever bought when I was like a sophomore in high school or something. And it was like this great live vinyl. It was super cool. It was like this special edition. I forget the name of it. But I gave it to him and we started talking about the Rolling Stones. And I was like, yeah, I just haven't listened to them in a while. Like I used to really like them. And he said, oh, just like go back to Hot Rocks and listen again. So if you don't know, Hot Rocks is basically just the Rolling Stones' greatest hits, but it's just from, I believe it's 1964 to 1971. It's either like, it's something like that. I'm pretty sure those are the years. And it's just, I mean, it's all the best songs. The Rolling Stones, almost every song they make is really solid, and their best songs are fucking amazing. Obviously, everybody knows "Give Me Shelter," "Sympathy for the Devil," all the songs, but all their deeper cuts too are all amazing. So I was listening to that album too on the plane, where I was like, and I had this idea. I was like, I'm gonna make like a Mad Villainy style album, but I'm just gonna use like Rolling Stone samples. And I was like, all right. This is my idea, because like I had so many ideas listening to the album. I was hearing "Time Is on My Side" specifically with the guitars on that, which you might know, I eventually did use those guitars as the main melodic basis for "Let It Bleed." That's the name of the song, Jesus Christ. I believe it's the 4th track on the EP. That comes from "Time Is on My Side." Absolutely love that song. And there's so many different songs that have awesome samples on them. So I was like, all right, I'm going to fucking do this. But I kind of like, I went on vacation. I went to Mexico. It was fucking sick. And when I was there, I let the ideas ruminate and stuff and kept on listening to the Rolling Stones songs. When I came back, I don't know when this idea occurred to me, but I just thought of like, just the name Hot Bops and because there's Cowboy Bebop ends with bop, obviously, and like a bop is just a fucking banger or whatever. So I was just thinking to myself like, oh shit, Hot Bops, like that's kind of funny. I kind of like that, and I started having this idea like, what if I made like an EP? Like I was just thinking of this as an instrumental EP at the time, just like EP combining just sounds of the Cowboy Bebop soundtrack and Rolling Stones songs. So I'll talk about real quick about the Cowboy Bebop soundtrack. Fuck. I love the Cowboy Bebop soundtrack. It's my favorite soundtrack of anything in the world. It's just one of my favorite pieces of music or whatever ever. I mean, every single CD, there's like 5 of them or some shit. They're all amazing. Yoko Kanno is probably my favorite composer. She's up there if she's not number 1. I specifically, when I was watching Cowboy Bebop, which is also one of my favorite anime, the song Spaceline, which plays at the end of, oh shit, it's one of the middle episodes. I can't think of the name right now. There's just this super beautiful scene where basically the camera, quote unquote camera, pans up and looks into space. And Spaceline like comes in with all these like kind of tribal sounding drums and these cool vocal patterns, and it just like builds up and it sounds sick. And that song is one of the best songs in the world, and I'm really, really upset I didn't get to use any part of it on the EP. I had a part that I cut out that was originally the end of Black Dog Serenade, where it was just a vocal it was an interview with Keith Richards. And he was just talking about like basically being yourself and stuff. And I had the synth that starts at the beginning of Spaceline, and I cranked up the gain like fucking crazy, and I sidechained it to this like whatever, this kick, and it just made this like really cool sound. And I just like left the drums from the original track over it. Anyways, getting off fucking topic. So I love the Cowboy Bebop soundtrack. One of my favorite things ever. So basically, when I had this idea, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna, this weekend, I don't have anything to do. I was just laying in bed. I had my work and shit done for the week. I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna start getting sounds from whatever, the Cowboy Bebop soundtrack first, and then the Rolling Stone songs. So I went through literally every single song in the Cowboy Bebop soundtrack, which is like, if you go across all the CDs, it's like, I don't even know, 100 songs at least or something. It's a fuckload of songs. But I didn't necessarily listen to like the entire song each time. Like if I heard the first 30 seconds and it didn't sound like it was going to be a song with a good sample, I just went to the next song. But so basically I would just, if I heard a song that I really liked, I would just download it in a fucking YouTube to MP3. I didn't use high quality samples. I fucked up, but just put in the YouTube to MP3, download it, and I would go in, cut up where the little sample was. So it could just be like a little guitar lick. It could be a horn sample, bass, just some hi-hat, roll, whatever, snare roll, whatever. Go in, chop it up, go into Edison, record it again, and then like roll off the end and the beginning of the audio just to make sure it didn't, because a lot of times it like clips kind of and shit in FL Studio if you don't do it right. So I would take that and then save that one little clip as like, you know, whatever. I would put the name of the song and then put whatever it was. So if it was a hi-hat from The Egg and I think that's the name of a song, I would just put The Egg and I hi-hat 1, and then maybe there would be another one or something. So I just did that, and that took me almost all of Friday and all of Saturday, going through basically just the Cowboy Bebop songs. I think I started on the Rolling Stone songs at the end of Saturday. Then for a bit on Sunday, I spent on the Rolling Stone songs. I was getting a little tired of doing it, to be honest. So this kind of eventually became a problem where most of the sounds on the EP come from Cowboy Bebop. They're not necessarily Rolling Stone samples, a lot of them, which is okay. But I wish I got a few more Rolling Stones because it's definitely lopsided towards Cowboy Bebop. But so I spent another, 6 hours maybe getting Rolling Stone samples, just listening to a shitload of songs. All the songs on Hot Rocks again, all the ones that I was thinking about getting, got those. And then, so I had all my sounds ready. It was just a matter of putting the beats together at that point. I'm just gonna make sure FL Studio is still running. So at this point, all I had to do was put the beats together. So the very next day, I think, on Monday, when I got back from class, I started off with there's a really long guitar note. I don't remember the name of the song, but it's from the Cowboy Bebop soundtrack off this it was some epic guitar fucking song or something. Like half the shit on there is. Actually, not half the shit. I'm fucking stupid. Most of it's jazz, but they have some guitar bangers, some hard rock bangers on there. So I took that and it sounded super dope, and I distorted it, did all this shit with it, and that ended up being the guitar sound that you would hear on Wild Horses. So Wild Horses was the first beat that I worked on. Basically with that track, I just originally the hi-hats were completely different than they were in the final version. The hi-hats were I took down the velocity rapidly for a shitload of the hi-hats. So there was a ton of variance in how loud they were. And it sounded kind of weird. Once I did the finished product with the master and everything on it, I was like, all right, I'm gonna change this shit because it sounded too weird. So I just made them all pretty similar in gain and velocity, whatever, the hi-hats. But with that track, basically it was just that guitar sample, and then I took the same guitar sample and put it on another track. I cloned, if you know what that means in FLC, I just cloned the track. And I put in this different thing, and I put my bass preset on it, and I fuck with it a lot. And I was able to get a really nice bass sound actually with it. So basically the guitar functioned as both the bass and the guitar, which was kind of weird because I always do bass as its own shit. But it ended up sounding pretty good. Sounded pretty epic and stuff. I was like, all right, fuck yeah. And I just kind of left it at that. I didn't have the beat switch that was in the final version. I did that real close to us putting out the EP. That was within 4 days, I think, of us releasing it. I did that final beat. I was like, all right, I'm gonna put this at the end of fucking Wild Horses. That's gonna be sick. So that was the first track. It ended up sounding really cool. I showed it to Justin, and I think that's when Justin was I talked to him about the idea that I had and stuff. Actually, no. It was before that. I showed him some of the samples I got, and I told him my idea, and he was like, yo, that's like interesting. And he was interested in potentially rapping on it. I was like, all right, yeah, I'll work on some beats. Then I showed him Wild Horse. He's like, yeah, that sounds sick. I was like, fuck yeah, let's go. So the next track I worked on was what ended up being Calypso parentheses This Side, which is the track that I was featured on the album, which was interesting. So Calypso, there's this one scene in Cowboy Bebop where it's probably the most famous scene actually. Spike is falling out of this like cathedral, and he's falling through the stained glass, and it's like in slow motion. There's glass all around him, and this song starts playing, and it goes like Messiah, and like there's like this, yeah, it's this fucking choir, like these kids singing or something. So I took that part. I was like, oh, if you cut out the part where they go like Messiah, if you just go like Messiah, it sounds like This Side, especially if it's kind of low in the mix. So I just ended up putting on the chorus. I was like, all right, this song's gonna be fucking This Side. Like it sounds like This Side, and I could write like some shit to that, or Justin could write whatever. We could figure it out. So I just took that, and then I had this like horn sample from another part. Just took the horn sample, and it had this like cool juxtaposition between the chorus and the verse, because it was like the chorus sounded kind of like religious and ethereal and cool, and then the verses were just kind of like intense and weird. So yeah, I just had that for a while, and it was really straightforward originally. The bass sound ended up sounding like shit, so I had to replace it with something else later on, but I just got that track done. Sounded pretty cool. I had a feeling I was gonna rap on it because I knew someone had to be featured, because I had the sample of the lady going, and now it's your turn, or whatever the fuck she says. So I was like, all right, I have to get somebody featured on that. Maybe it'll be me, maybe it'll be our friend GDP. Or maybe I can get one of the guys I've talked to on SoundCloud or on Reddit and stuff before. But anyways, the next track I worked on, I was high as fuck when I worked on this shit. It was only the second time I've ever been high. If you ever been high working on a song, I should say. I always work sober generally. Sometimes I'm drunk, but the other time that I did it was on Terror in Resonance, which is actually like I think it's my most favorited track on SoundCloud. It's one of my most played ones too. I was so high when I made that. I don't think anyone knows that, which is pretty funny. But so I was super high. So the third Bebop track ended up being Still Life, which if you listen to the EP, is just super, super chill. It has like kind of this weird sounding synth that comes in at the chorus, which makes it sound like a little eerie. It mostly just sounds weird because I had to pitch shift the fuck out of it to make it sound cool. That was actually like a fucking horn sample or something, and I like just manipulated it a lot and made it sound weird. So I took that, and basically I just started off with that melody. So I got it from, I believe it's called like something with like Memories is the original song or something, and it just has this like these bells that come in. It's just it's kind of like nostalgic sounding. It's using like a non-nostalgic scenes in the show. So I took the individual like bell notes, the notes that it hit, and I created my own melody that was different from the one that was in the original show. So I made that melody, and that's what you hear playing at the beginning of the track. I made that melody, and then all really I did for the actual verses and shit was I just put it in halftime. And I let it play, and I chopped it up, and I did pitch shift some other parts to give it some variance at different points. It was mostly just a halftime though. If you don't use halftime, you can also use it in like gross beat. I think there's like a halftime function. I don't use gross beat. I can't fucking figure it out. So anyways, that was just halftime. That was cool. But yeah, I really like that one. I used the snare, ended up sounding really cool. I didn't know how it would sound for a while. Justin killed that song when he did it eventually. He made it, I really like his lyrics on that. They're pretty personal. Shit. Woke up this morning, was feeling the vibe. Looked outside and the sky reminded me why I'm alive. That's pretty much the song. But yeah, great song. Anyways, the next song I ended up working on ended up being my personal favorite beat that I made. It was Let It Bleed with The Time Is On My Side. This is the first fucking time I use like a prominent Rolling Stone sample. There is a little melody that goes throughout Wild Horses, which was the first beat I made, which is from a Rolling Stone song. But besides that, everything has been from Cowboy Bebop, basically. There's little things here and like there's little, there's percussion and shit. But it's pretty bad. Anyways, I just did that track. Ended up being super wonky. It was super straightforward though, doing that song. But it had just this weird bass sound that I got from some bebop song. And it just had like a banger though. The hi-hats were fucked up though at first. I had to majorly play with them. But yeah, there's not much to say about that song. It honestly is like one of the only songs that ended up remaining pretty much exactly the same from demo to the final version. I added that part at the beginning where they said, once upon a time in a city not far away, or two very respectable people got into anime with the fucking, that's Chika from Kaguya-sama. That's yelling, by the way. When you hear the yell after that, it kind of sounds like it's like a shonen, like some fucking kid from a shonen show that's that's yelling, but it's actually Chika, and I just like manipulated her voice. But yeah, that's super. That was a good track. I fucking love that song. Justin killed that shit too. The second verse, and I put the vocal sample right before from Star Trek, where it's Kirk going, I think he said warp drive at Scott, and then he goes super fast. That was really cool. I loved his verse on that. Anyways, next track was what ended up being the first song, Dead Flowers. I fucking also love that song. That's probably my second favorite song on the EP. And that was super fun making that beat. Cause I just added that like weird ass beat change at the end. That beat change was real hard to mix and shit. I had a lot of problems with resonance in the vocals. So basically there's a part where once again, I actually just halftime this vocal thing, but before it is halftime, when the beat drops, there was originally the high pitch sample before it gets halftime, whatever. I had to majorly put it down in the mix and like low pass the fuck out of it, because it was just like this weird resonance was present, and it took me hours and hours to do it well enough, and it still doesn't sound as good as it should have, but it's all right. Yeah, and that's when I originally put that sample at the beginning, where it was from one of the episodes of Cowboy Bebop, where he's talking about do not be afraid of death, whatever, it's by your side and all that shit. I can't say all the stuff on it, but yeah. And that's kind of when I started getting the inkling of the idea of like, what does this album actually mean to me? Kind of, because at this point it was just making songs for fun, making beats and just kind of fucking around. But I wanted it to mean something, because it was the last project me and Benny were going to do, Justin, whatever, we're going to do when, before he left, because I was going to stay, basically we both go to Binghamton University. I'm assuming that's okay to release. I mean, obviously it should be fine. And he was graduating and I was also graduating, but I was already in the pharmacy school at Binghamton. So I had to, I was staying, and all my friends were leaving and shit. And I was like a little worried about it, especially because at that point I hadn't really made any friends in the pharmacy school. I kind of made friends a little bit more by the end of the year, which is good. But yeah, so I heard that part where he's saying, do not be afraid of death. And I was like, oh, okay. Like that kind of gave me the idea a little bit of what I wanted to do with the meta shit. So, but yeah, that was basically I just took piano for the main beat on fucking Dead Flowers. I just took this piano part and I chopped up different parts of it. I believe it was from the song Adieu, if I remember correct. And I believe the vocal sample is also from Adieu. It is, yeah. They're both from Adieu. And I just chopped up the piano, made its own progression with it and shit. Had a lot of stuff where it was reversing the sample, pitching it down, a lot of random shit. I had a problem with, I was losing a lot of it because I put a stereo enhancer on it. I was losing a lot of the, like transients or whatever the fuck on it at first. So I had to majorly mix that shit. The piano, it took a while. It was pretty annoying. It doesn't sound amazing still either, but it's all right. I got to work. Anyways, next track that I worked on ended up being, it was my favorite beat for a while, but it ended up being a fucking pain in the ass because it was so hard to mix. It was the Ballad of the Falling Angels beat. So basically that track sounded great in its unmixed version. So that was the first song that I made where I wasn't actually mixing it as I went. I kind of just like made the whole beat without mixing it. And without, the original, without mixing it, like it sounded cool. I was like, oh, when it gets mixed down, like it'll still sound great and everything. And that was not true at all. It took me, there's still like 30 files on my computer where it's like, Ballad of the Falling Angels, one more fucking try, let's go, in all caps. And like there's literally probably 30 because I had to keep on redoing it every time. And the thing is, there was so much shit going on in the project file, and because my computer has so much shit on it that I needed to clear out, that it was like stuttering the audio, so I couldn't really tell if what I was doing sounded good. So I had to keep on exporting the file as a wave or whatever and just listening to it like constantly. I guess I could have done it as an MP3, and just keep on listening to it over and over and like, oh no, it's not perfect. Like the clap sounds stupid or whatever. The melodic element sounds dumb. The melodic element, I took, there's a ton of melodic elements. That like kind of synthy sounding chords that plays throughout the whole song is actually like super manipulated piano keys from this one Rolling Stone song. I don't remember the name of it. Shit. The name of the song is She's a Rainbow. I fucked up. That's okay. Anyways, let's get on with it. So yeah, I just manipulated those pianos really bad. Made my own melody with it. Yeah, that was basically it. But it was super frustrating for a while to mix that. But yeah, life goes on. It still doesn't sound perfect in the final song, in the final EP. One of my biggest regrets, but it's all right. Anyways, the last beat that I made that made the project. Now I should be clear. There's a bunch of beats that I made after Ballad of the Fallen Angels that just didn't make the project because they just weren't that great. They just didn't work as well. There's one I made that like prominently sampled Painted Black. That was gonna like be pretty cool. I couldn't get to mix well. And I think that Justin was like the least excited about that one because it just wasn't that great. So I ended up just scrapping that. And there was a few other ones that were kind of just like weird and experimental that I didn't use. But anyways, so it ended up being like the 9th or 10th beat. I think it was 9th. Bops 9 demo was what ended up being Black Dog Serenade. So Black Dog Serenade, wow. That was a great beat. I really liked that beat a lot. I had a lot of trouble mixing the piano though for a while. The piano loop that I used was like such a pain in the ass. I kept on like trying to put flangers on it because it had these like weird resonance, which I was like, all right, maybe if I just put a shitload of flangers on it, it can just like, it just won't hear it or something. That was not working. I don't know why I thought that would work. So I had to like manipulate it a lot and take out all these frequencies and stuff. It was really a pain in the ass. But that track, wow. I'm trying to think of even what to say about Bops 9. I literally don't have like anything to say about it beyond the fact that I didn't have the beat switch in the track. That was another beat that I made like a few days before I released the EP, and it sounded super sick. And Justin really wanted to rap on it, I remember, and I was just like, I don't think we have enough time. But yeah, so I just ended up putting a vocal sample from Wu-Tang song, can't remember, and it was also Jay-Z sample. I believe that was from some song by Pusha T that it was featured on. I don't remember the name. And then a little JID part from a freestyle he did a while ago. But yeah, So that was not on there for a while. Originally, this is what I should talk about. So originally it was completely different. Like I mentioned earlier, I had the part with the Space Lion synth on it and all that shit. So that was originally how it was going to be, but it just took up too much time and wasn't interesting sounding enough. So I just got rid of it. I just didn't think it was that cool, honestly, after hearing it a bunch of times. But anyways, after that, just made a few more beats. Basically, I just gave them all to Justin, and he spent like a while writing them, maybe like a month. So I should clarify, maybe at this point, it was probably like maybe getting towards the end of February at that point, probably mid-February. I made all the first like 5 beats within like 3 days. And then the 6th one I made like 2 days after, and then Bops I made like 2 weeks later or something, I think. But yeah, and then I just sent them all to Justin. He was writing, and then eventually maybe like a few weeks before we released the EP, a couple weeks I think. We just did all the vocals. He did his first vocal takes, I should say. We went in again and redid anything that sounded bad after he did it, and we just made some demos. And I did my verse on Calypso, which I had written. And I did the hook and everything, did a bunch of takes. I am literally terrible in the booth. I have to constantly redo stuff. When I'm doing stuff live, I'm perfectly fine. It's mostly because I'm just not comfortable really on the mic yet. So I had to redo my parts a bunch of times. I was also drinking when I was doing it. I was a little buzzed when I did my verse. So that wasn't really helping, I don't think. But got them all done. He sent them to me, and I just spent an entire week, just basically all day, just mixing and mastering and getting demos done, just trying to figure it out. I sent demos to just a bunch of people on SoundCloud and stuff that I respected and whose music I liked and that I've talked to before and stuff. And a good amount of them got back to me. Not all of them, unfortunately. Probably half of them got back. I probably sent it to like 25 people. If you're one of the people that got it and you're hearing this for some reason, just know I really respect you a lot. And it's not like one of those things where I sent it to like everyone. It was actually just people I liked and who had talked to. I mean, I like all the people I've talked to too, but you know what I mean? So shout out to all those people. Shout out fucking, you know what? I'm going to stop it again. I'm going to literally give a shout out to all the people that did it right now. All right. Shout out to Glooms. Glooms is my boy. Glooms makes super cool, like spacey, like kind of glitchy, weird instrumentals, and you should definitely check him out. GLOOMZ. It might be zeros actually. Super, super cool producer. Check him out. GD Ambidextrous. He's a great rapper. I think he also produces his own stuff. He did a lot of work with Ro, who's my boy, one of my first followers on SoundCloud. Great guy. But GD's great. He rapped on one of the songs that Ro, one of the beats I sent to him, my beat Wander, and he killed it. He's really good. To BWY, I don't know how to pronounce it. I don't know if it's boy. That guy's always in the making hip hop feedback threads, going nuts. He's a good, really good producer. And he's just like a really nice guy. I believe he's like European. I don't know where he's from, but maybe German. Really cool dude. BWY, check him out. Clue with the Flu, always super nice, always gives really good feedback, and he's a great, talented lyrical rapper. If you like boom bap shit, check him out. Gilletta makes kind of like weird, at least most of the stuff I've heard is like this like off the wall kind of weird, like almost concept-y tracks. I think he's tried doing a little bit more like just not typical, but like kind of like normal-ish sounding like trap stuff recently. I really like his like weird stuff that he does though. And he has a really interesting voice, and he's a great guy too. He's always really helpful. Hobotron. Oh my God. Hobotron has some fucking bangers. Please check out Hobotron. Really cool beats. I really like almost everything Hobotron does. They're not necessarily like maybe always mixed perfectly, but he's definitely got a lot better too. It might be a girl. Sorry. For some of these people, they might be women. I'm sorry if I'm saying guy and stuff. I'm not sure. Severed Headphones. Severed Headphones is an amazing boom bap producer. Oh my God. We were trying to collaborate on a track once, and literally his samples was literally just too good for me. And I feel bad because I took a while to get back to him. Severed Headphones, if you're listening, sorry about that. Was going through some shit. Sorry. But your beats are incredible. They are so amazing, especially like the melodic shit you do with them. It's just crazy. Sample cuts, flips, everything. Alex Lane literally makes the craziest, wonkiest hip hop beats, I guess you could call them, I've ever heard in my life. He makes amazing shit. Check him out. Oh my God. Love that guy. Ro, my boy, once again, one of the first people that followed me. Super nice guy, always helping me out, giving me feedback on shit. Really great dude. Really like his music too. He makes pretty chill stuff generally. Puts a lot of his like personal life into his lyrics. He's great at mixing and stuff too. He's gotten a lot better. Yeah, and he keeps on improving and stuff. I think he could be big at some point. He's really great. Mosaic the Mortal. That guy's dope. Really good rapper. I've sent some beats his way. He hasn't rapped on them. I wish he has. But super cool. I hope that he like keeps on working. He makes really good music. Lyrical. I remember telling him he sounded like Elzai, who's my favorite rapper, and he's just really dope. Jakov Slim makes kind of like weird off the wall beats. Puts out a ton of stuff. Cool dude. Like him. And Zoloft Zombie eventually got back to me. I think he got back to me after I released the EP though. Yeah, he did. But he makes really interesting music. I remember watching he did some spoken word stuff that was on YouTube, and it was phenomenal. It was so cool. Zoloft Zombie's great. Check him out too. I'm glad he got back to me eventually. But then then there was a few other people I messaged. There's actually way more people that got back to me than I thought. So there's some people I messaged, didn't get back to me. That's okay. No problem with it. But yeah, so shout out those guys. They got back to me. I really appreciate all the feedback. A lot of people had really kind words about everything. And gave me a lot more confidence. I was getting a little scared to release it, honestly, going into it. But ended up being really great, honestly. So yeah, I'll just talk about like the release of it real quick, and then I'll just kind of wrap up stuff. So we released it. Immediately, I had like a whole plan for like what I was gonna do. I was gonna post it on Making Hip Hop and like, talk about the making of the album a little bit and just whatever, see if people like it, all that shit. And I was gonna post on like the feedback threads, like going forward, which I actually didn't really end up doing. I was gonna post it in there's a production club that's at Binghamton. I was gonna post in there. I was gonna post it to blogs, whatever. I was just had an idea for some stuff to do. Oh, and I was gonna submit it to DigiBro to talk about in one of his rant videos because I like his videos a lot, and I've been a patron for a while. And I wanted to see what he would think of it. I wasn't really sure, but so anyways, I'll talk about the Making Hip Hop post because that ended up being great. That was so awesome. I honestly went into that expecting it to get maybe like 20 upvotes, and it ended up getting like I think like 180. Upvotes eventually, which is amazing. Like, I think it was like one of the biggest albums of the year and stuff so far in terms of like the upvotes it's gotten. There's been a lot of stuff like the last couple weeks that's been amazing though. That's gotten a lot of upvotes, but that was so sick. I'm not even gonna lie. Like everybody was there was like 50 comments or something of people just giving their feedback or saying how much they like the album. It was awesome. It was one of the best things probably that's ever happened for me in my music career. I was so super happy about it. That got a lot of people's eyes on it, which was awesome. It got like 45 likes or something in like the first 2 days, I think, on SoundCloud, which is awesome, which is more than either of us have had on anything before, me or Benny. Yeah, that was sick. And I posted in the production thing. Got some likes on that. Didn't really matter that much. So, I mean, shout out to the people if they checked it out. I don't know if anyone did. Nobody commented. With the blogs and stuff, I tried submitting it through Submit Hub. Kept on getting denied. And after a while, I was just like, all right, I guess they don't give a shit. the other thing was the Digi rant video. So I submitted it to him, within, I think it was like a week after the EP came out. He came out the rant video. It was kind of bad because that was like the first time I think that he released all the rants like the exact same time, and he didn't use any thumbnails or anything. So not that many people ended up seeing the video, which kind of sucked, but it was okay. I didn't have that much of a problem with it or anything. And he really liked it. It seemed like I pretty much agree with his criticisms. I think that Justin could be better with putting a little more oomph in his voice and maybe talking about things that are like maybe a little more personal that, maybe like you said, like might sound weird. He might think might sound weird, you know what I mean? And stuff like that. That's kind of been, I think that's most of my like feedback I generally give Justin, is I just want him to just put a little more into like his voice and stuff, which I think he'll probably get there eventually as long as he keeps on practicing, getting comfortable and stuff. And and he talked about how the samples just sounded like they were cool and like they didn't have a message. And I wouldn't judge anyone if they didn't get the message overall. The overall message was not super clear, and you kind of have to understand what's going on in my life with the meta textual stuff of like my friends are leaving and shit, That's why I ended the album the way I did with the Emily Dickinson poem, My Life Closed Twice Before Its Close, which is an amazing poem. I love Emily Dickinson. She's probably my favorite poet. Yeah, that's where, it ends. Parting is all we know of heaven and all we need of hell. Just talking about, parting from my friends and probably not seeing them again for a while, which is kind of sad, honestly. But, life goes on. It's a lot of it's just coming to terms with the fact that this is the last time we're going to be really working together, like, in person at least for a long time, which, it kind of sucks. But anyways, and and most of the samples I agree most of the stuff doesn't play into that like meta aspect. It's just literally shit I thought sounded cool. Like there's tons of random clips from old stuff. Like I kind of basically just totally ripped Mad Villainy and Madlib's way of doing shit, where he just takes like old clips and cool sounding comic booky shit a lot of the time and just throws it all together and makes cool sounding stuff. Whatever. It's all good. I definitely should come into my own style a bit. I think that I'm doing okay in terms of that, but I need to develop a sound better. That's my biggest goal. But yeah, that was basically it. I'll just talk about real quick about what I think I would want to do better. The number one thing is, first of all, the mastering. I realize now that I kind of fucked it up. I figured out a different way to master that sounds way better now. That's okay. Can't really blame myself for that. I just didn't know at the time. The other thing is I was so done with constantly exporting files and demos constantly for like a week that at the very end, when I did the final stuff, I didn't even check to make sure that like everything was fine. I didn't even listen to like the EP before I released it. And I realized after we released that that there's like a couple of tracks have like really long like tails at the end. When I say really long, they're not that long, but they're like 3 seconds long, to the point where it makes the transition to the next song sound kind of weird. And I wish I just really quickly fixed that and just checked everything to make sure. So I messed up there. That's just literally being a lazy asshole. I wish that I just knew how DistroKid worked before we released it, because it took like 4 days to get on Spotify because I put it up on there too late. That's okay, whatever. I hate that Apple Music changed my name to have only the A be capitalized. That's pretty annoying, but that's not in my control, obviously. And yeah, I mean, there's definitely parts where I think I could have maybe added a little more variation, but I'm still happy with it. I only released it a month ago or whatever. Sorry, we only released it a month ago. Yeah, I generally feel really happy with it. I think for our first EP, it was pretty dope, honestly. It was one of the first verses I recorded. I think my verse turned out pretty good. I kind of fucked up the end of my verse, but it still sounds pretty good. And yeah, it was super cool. I was really happy to make it. like the second I came up with the idea, I was like, all right, I have to do this before I die. Like I have to do this idea. And I'm so happy we actually like did it. Like we finished it because I'm so bad at finishing everything. Anytime I start a video game, I don't finish it. Most of the time when I start beats, I don't finish them. Most of the time when I start an anime series, I don't finish it. When I start a movie, half the time I don't finish it even. So it feels good to actually like complete something and just kind of like be done with it, not have really many regrets or anything about it. And yeah, I was just super happy with how it was received, and everyone was so nice that helped out. Shout out to all my friends for just listening to it, and they seem like they liked it, and they supported it. And yeah, I'm really happy about it. It was sick. That's pretty much it. I don't have much else to say. Hope any of you enjoyed this. I doubt literally anyone's going to listen to this. Who gives a shit? It was fun. I like talking. We out.